So Leo, so regarding this evil magic you're talking about, I want to kind of spend little bit more time exploring this. So
Sure.
there's a lot of people that are new to AMMs and how they work and things like that. I don't know if you have a slide deck, but maybe that's an area that you can explain. We can talk about how that works a little bit in more detail, and say, like what's the pros and cons of an AMM versus an order book, right?
Yeah.
Versus a regulated exchange where there's a human, potentially in most cases, a human being putting up bids and asks. What does it mean? So what do we gain? What do we lose on an AMM? What papers should people be reading in regards to, like, obviously the Buterin stuff around AMMs that maybe get them more familiar. So maybe if you could spend a little bit of time talking about that. And if you do have a slide deck, happy to jump into that. But maybe
no. That's okay. I actually so we as a project at C.R.E.A.M, I think we need to do a better job of communicating. I mean, sometimes, very often, too often, the industry moves so quickly that it's really, really hard to communicate. So I kind of want to use this opportunity to basically talk about the latest things that's happening on C.R.E.A.M without a deck. But besides that, I think AMM is definitely worth digging into. I think the one thing to think about AMMs, so automated market maker, in this case, so that's, I think, automated market makers here allow for exactly that, as a programmatic way to make the market. So what does that really mean, right? So as that really answers the question, like, okay, so let's take, for example, earlier we were saying ETH versus USDC. We'll use that as an example. So what that allows for is for users can, it's like, imagine if you call it user-generated liquidity, like if people can put money up to do this. So let's say I have $100 worth of Ethereum, $100 worth of USDC, and I use equal parts because in this particular case, AMMs are 50-50 parts, and we can skip the composition part for more advanced. But basically, as a user, I can put up $100 worth of Ethereum and $100 worth of the USDC. I can go ahead and add that into the pool, and that anybody who trades against it applies the formula, they call it the X, Y, and Z formula, that allows for, if you imagine basically $100 worth of one token, $100 worth of another token, and when somebody wants to take token A and give you token B for it, that weighting will change automatically based on the algorithm that enables the outcome to become also 50-50. So if I have $100 worth of Ethereum, $100 worth of USDC, and I want to buy Ethereum, so I want to take Ethereum out of the pool and I want to put in more USDC, that's going to make the pool have less Ethereum and more USDC. And for that math to remain 50-50, programmatically, it searches and balances a new price by which after your trade, it's still 50-50. So I think that might be a little bit kind of confusing, but again, if you think of it as like a scale where you have $100 of one thing on one side, $100 another thing on the other side, but that formula allows for the token to shift within that formula, then you can see how the numbers can change when trades take place.
Right. So I mean, so the constant product formula does the balancing. Yes. Right, the weighing, it adjusts the weighing, and the weighing changes anytime liquidity is added or removed, right?
Right.
But it's not when there's trading occurred against that liquidity, right? But the fees are added into that liquidity, and that increases, that changes the constant product. But the act of trading, assuming, let's say there were 0 fees in trading, that would not change the weights. What do we lose? Like with the order book model, what do we have that we don't really have now? If you look at Coinbase, there's L1, L2, there's L3 levels of looking at the order book, the limit order book. Does that benefit us in any way? Obviously, we don't see that in an AMM. There is no depth. You can't see a depth. You see a moment, and at a moment what the weights are and what the prices are and things like that. Can you talk about what we might be gaining, what we might be losing? Obviously, whatever we do lose, we may be able to get back later down the road through innovation.
Right.
And what are your
Yeah, so I think if I look at it as a trader, now going back to the example, I have some USDC, I have some ETH, and I want to either get more one or the other. I would be better served from a cost standpoint to do this in a centralized exchange, because the exchange trading fees, whether it's Uniswap or SushiSwap, it's 0.3% of the total value. So that is much higher than an exchange trading fee. But if you want the kind of speed and convenience and you don't want to deal with the KYC, et cetera, then you pay that. And that's okay. But that's only one side of the equation, right? Because the other side of the equation would be the liquidity providers. Now, this goes back to the decentralized nature of what is available here in open finance or DeFi. What it allows for then is that then instead of someone like Coinbase or Binance making money on the trading fees, the liquidity providers get the trading fees. And so on that other side, going back to the example, if I wanted to have half Bitcoin and half Ethereum in my portfolio, so to speak, I can get people pay me, basically. You can look at it that way. When you deposit funds, you get paid to provide that liquidity, and you collect the trading fees. So your portfolio is actually growing. Not only does it stay 50-50, it's actually growing. The opposite case would be like mutual funds. You get some amount of fees taken out of your either during deposit, upon withdrawal, or every year. And that's unavoidable. But in this case, you're getting to keep your percentage split 50-50, without incurring a fee. Now, the other cost I believe you're referring to earlier is this notion of impermanent loss. And I think it's a really horrible term in my thinking. Is it doesn't help the kind of casual first-time learner learn about this. So I think it's somewhat of and sometimes it's overblown in some ways, but roughly speaking, going back to Ethereum USDC example, if I hold on to $100 of Ethereum and I have another $100 of USDC, I would be better served if I think Ethereum is going up by just making that just $200 worth of Ethereum and leave it at that. Now, if I think that Ethereum is going down, I'd be better served holding on to $200 of USDC. And then if Ethereum goes down, I'd buy back for more Ethereum. But this whole impermanent loss notion, by being a liquidity provider, puts you into this 50. So this whole impermanent loss notion generally is referred to by people who calculate their and denominate their portfolio in the US dollars terms. So overall, if the US dollar price of Ethereum goes down and you have $100 in the Ethereum, and Ethereum price goes down, that total value is not 200. It's actually lower than 200, but you ended up with more Ethereum. So it gets a little confusing when you think impermanent loss is a bad thing. Well, it's like, depends on what you want to do. If you're trying to accumulate on the way down, impermanent loss is a good thing. If you're trying to sell on the way up, then permanent loss is a good thing. So for me, I'm a horrible trader. I actually like the AMM model where I put my liquidity in. And at that point, it allows me to basically not manage it and take a fee when people trade in and out. Sorry, you're on mute.
Would it be true to say that that if you're a liquidity provider, you are also not only betting on the movement of price, which what a pure trader might be, what a pure market maker might be, but you're also betting on the volume of trade? You would want significant volume. If you are predicting there's significant trading volume in that pair, then you're going to want to provide liquidity. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that makes sense. So if we look at it, three cases, right? Either prices trade sideways and they're more or less constant, prices go up, or prices go down. So that's probably the three best examples to think of. One is going back to, again, $200, 100 in Ethereum, 100 in USDC. If the market chops sideways and the price goes like that, like for a long time, you just accumulate more. So, their same $200 at the same X price of Ethereum over time with high trading volume, you'll actually end up, with more money. But another way to think of it too, this is where I kind of like to introduce maybe the complexity of Balancer, which allows users to configure the actual fee percentage. So I've experimented with this a bit. If you have a 5% Balancer trading fee, so now in Balancer, unlike Uniswap or SushiSwap, users can configure how much money they want to take as a fee. So this actually allows users to more or less run your own exchange. In the ideal world, you're like, well, then all the fees, 100%, like then nobody will ever trade, because that means your pool is like 100% more expensive than the current market price. So if you deal with something like 5%, effectively you're automating a swing trading strategy where when it goes up 5%, you sell. When it goes down 5%, you sell. So in a sideways chopping market, a trader is actually better off providing liquidity at a high expense rate. So maybe this gets into more advanced DeFi usage of AMMs.
Okay, so I do have a spreadsheet I want to share with everybody on the loss factor that Leo was mentioning, which is, we also call it divergence, which is kind of it's a nicer term, and I'm posting the link in the chat, and it's a spreadsheet I created which kind of shows what happens to divergence as all things holding constant. Certain variables, in this case price, moves, what happens to your loss, assuming there is no trading fees. And it's important for traders to understand that, and liquidity providers, because like, well, I'm putting liquidity in, why am I not making money on this? All things holding constant, you put liquidity in, you're taking a loss potentially, and you're hoping that the trading fees will compensate and offset those losses. Now, so we said the trading fees are relatively high. You're saying the trading fees are relatively high, 0.3%. It's very high, right, compared to what you pay on an exchange. Why is that the case? Will that change? Obviously, with efficiency, there is the theory that the spreads will tighten, fees should come down, with all that kind of the simple economics of it. Where do you see that going? And why are we at this place that we are? And obviously it's inefficiencies, but what are those inefficiencies, and how is that going to change and become more efficient? And then maybe you could tie that into what you guys are doing with C.R.E.A.M.
Yes, I think the fees are high. Funny enough, I think a lot of people don't care that much. People don't mind. And I think mostly due to the fact that the distributions are different. So let's go back to Uniswap and SushiSwap. So for example, in SushiSwap, part of the trading fees go to the Sushi token holders. So if you have Sushi tokens and you stake them, you get these X Sushi tokens. And then the trading fees, so of the 0.3% trading fees, 0.05 of it goes back to the SushiSwap token holders, and 0.25 goes back to the LP providers. So basically, experimentations are happening across the industry with regards to how these fees are generated and distributed. But I think specifically to this impermanent loss or divergence model, definitely I think it's really exciting that folks like Bancor are experimenting with impermanent loss mitigation, and then also Andre's working on certain other impermanent loss and mitigation strategies as well. I think that capital efficiency in a permissionless system like what we have right now in DeFi is super exciting, because it's not like liquidity is super loyal, as we've learned. So that if anybody comes up with a more efficient, a safe model that's more efficient and controls for these impermanent loss, that new product or service and team should in general win, because people aren't betting their money purely on reputation. They're definitely looking for the next best yield. And I think we've seen DeFi liquidity has been super market efficient, for lack of a better term. As it relates to what we're doing with C.R.E.A.M, certainly our focus as well is on capital efficiency. And what we're doing is, so C.R.E.A.M is a lending market. So we are a debt market focusing on capital efficiency. So our charter has been always to build useful money Legos and DeFi. We've historically dabbled in some of the other things like AMM for stablecoins as well as for general tokens. So arguably, we dabbled within the arena of what SushiSwap, Uniswap, Balancer has done for general tokens, and then what Curve has done for stablecoins, including not just Curve, but like Shell Protocol, etc. have done a certain thing for AMMs for stablecoins. If you're interested and want to geek out on the stuff, you can look at how AMMs like Curve have a very different formula than the constant product model that the Uniswap and Solution Swap model has. But that's for, I think, serious nerds that want to understand the math, which is cool if they're into that. So we at C.R.E.A.M Finance, we consider ourselves very nimble innovators. We are part of the Yearn ecosystem. Yearn ecosystem has lending and exchange as well as yield. I think I was thinking about taking this opportunity to kind of talk about peer-to-peer lending. I know earlier you did have Compound on, but I think I'm happy to also answer questions people have as we go on. But I think the interesting thing here is that it's basically like a bank, right? So if you first got into crypto, you were sitting on some amount of tokens. You kind of want a place to put them, so you can earn interest, or maybe you want to leverage. And so most people, when they think about leverage, first of all, it's really scary. Do not use leverage unless you're super knowledgeable about this stuff, or if you want to try it on very low capital. But leveraging across exchanges, et cetera, can get very expensive. They charge interest rates every 8 hours, let's call it, could be like 0.01% or 0.1%, which compared to something like a lending protocol, whether it's Compound, Aave, or C.R.E.A.M, you're looking at max, probably, normally speaking, for normal average tokens, like 30-40% APY, which is very different from every 8 hours. So I think that's something that lending protocol is a good place to start for DeFi. The first step, of course, is you collect and you invest into something like Ethereum or Bitcoin, and the next step is you're looking for a yield, as you're looking for alternatives to finance options. The most common use would be something like lending protocol. Whether you're long short and you want to be long short, you want to leverage long or short, it's possible. Simple example here would be if you're very bullish Bitcoin, you take the Bitcoin you have, you deposit into a lending protocol, you borrow stable coins, you buy more Bitcoin, you deposit that back in, and then so you end up with kind of like roughly 2x leverage on your existing position, whether that's Ethereum, Bitcoin, or any other tokens. And then you can have a fairly low borrowing rate if you want something like that to go on. Some of the other points I wanted to cover today, actually, for C.R.E.A.M specifically, is that I think very current would be the multi-chain trend that's going on within DeFi, generally speaking. So today, we've just announced our launch on C.R.E.A.M into the Phantom ecosystem. So that's the third chain we're supporting. So C.R.E.A.M started on Ethereum, and then we supported Binance Smart Chain. And so for those people who don't want to end up spending a lot of gas on Ethereum, the alternative is Binance Smart Chain. I know that Binance Smart Chain, I'm a big supporter of Binance Smart Chain, but of course the critics of Binance Smart Chain say that it's very centralized. And so with Phantom, arguably that is less centralized, but it depends on what you're measuring. So I don't want to necessarily say it is or isn't more decentralized than Binance Smart Chain. But certainly the cross-chain future is an interesting one. And what that means is now, instead of thinking about, okay, you put money into Ethereum, therefore you borrow on Ethereum, you can actually put money in Ethereum and perhaps borrow on, imagine putting Ethereum into C.R.E.A.M on the ETH side, and then out comes BNB, you borrow on the Binance Smart Chain platform on app.cream.finance. And all you got to do is make this happen and switch to you make the deposit on one side, and then you change your MetaMask RPC to Binance Smart Chain or Phantom, and then soon you'll be able to also be borrowing on that side based on your deposits on the other side. I think that's super, super exciting. Oh yeah, thank you, Julia. I see there's a comment about the Phantom partnership being very exciting. And then I know we want to leave the room for the Farouk combo exploit that happened about less than a week ago here. And then prior to that, the Alpha Homora exploit that happened. That was something that came through our Iron Bank protocol. And none of these exploits were C.R.E.A.M markets compromise, and in none of these exploits were the fault of the C.R.E.A.M code base. So I want to make that very clear. I'm not saying that Alpha or Farouk combo, is like, none of them are manipulating anything. It's just that sometimes in crypto Twitter, I think people end up, being position biased, and they basically say things that aren't true, perhaps. And I just wanted to also take this opportunity to say, look, our protocol has been safe. It's been safe from day one, and it continues to be safe. And throughout the recent unfortunate exploits in DeFi, we're trying to help our friends in DeFi sort things out. And so I wanted to kind of clear the air on that one, as well. As I know some people may be wondering, oh, is this thing safe? I've seen you guys named in some of these exploit events that happened.
Yeah, so I love your statement, Leo, that liquidity is not loyal. I think that's a fantastic statement. I'm a big fan of Wu-Tang.
Nice.
I'm gonna guess C.R.E.A.M comes from their song C.R.E.A.M. Is that, are we right? Am I right?
Yes, you are right.
Okay,
yes,
great.
You are right. I think actually, I'm going to go ahead and do my kind of biggest shill here, which is that you should. I'm going to put this link on here, but yeah, it's Crypto Rules Everything Around Me, C.R.E.A.M. And we did actually have a track here from Method Man. I'm just going to go ahead and drop that into the chat.
Is it a custom track?
Yeah.
Wu-Tang, and people are like, no, it's not referring to Wu-Tang. I'm like, it's probably
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, we're fans of hip hop. We're actually revamping our UI, and we're going toward a bit more of a Wu-Tang color scheme of black and gold. So a bit more street art, a little bit less GTA. GTA was fun during DeFi summer, but we also wanted to make this like a little bit more believable, to take us seriously. Like, how can you have $1 billion on something that looks like a toy somebody has said once? And I think that's a valid criticism.
Right. So what's the, we have some questions. I have one quick one is, what's the future of C.R.E.A.M? Where are you guys going to be in 2 years? What are your plans? What's that roadmap look like?
Yeah, we're mainly building to the DeFi user. I think that DeFi moves so quick and crypto moves so quick that it'd be really hard for me to say, in 1 year we're going to be here and 2 years we're going to be there. I think that so far what served us well has been very quick to act on the needs. And if you look at the history of the C.R.E.A.M launch, we first launched, when we launched in August, we had this to some people very annoying 7-day cadence of revamped cryptonomics and reward system. And some people say, hey, why don't you do stuff like Compound? There's this plan, it's 4 years. I'm like, okay, well, we look up to our big brothers, so to speak, on the Compound side, and good advisors. At the same time, we wanted to be a little bit quicker on reacting to needs. And to give you an example, you wake up one day in DeFi summer and it was like, hey, there's C.R.E.A.M with like 5,000% APY. Like, what are you going to do? So kind of a little bit of behind the curtains, what we did was we modeled out, actual kind of APY based on our relative sort of perception. So our perceived risk is much lower now than any new protocols coming, because we've been around for a while, and we've got the firepower of Andre Cronje and the Yearn ecosystem behind us. So that's fine. So if I look at it that way, quick innovation is key. Serving capital efficiency is key. And that we're definitely doubling down on protocol to protocol, because as we think about the Iron Bank piece, protocol to protocol and automation is really key to the success here in DeFi, in our opinion, because if we can continue to become the liquidity backbone for DeFi and serve all the other protocols and let them be the on-ramp, let them worry about, how to deal with regulatory issues, let them deal with, getting the best UI around. I will say first that our UI UX experience is not the best in the industry, and that's okay. We want to double down on what's good, which is what we're good at, which would be the kind of smart contract piece and automation.
Okay, so we do have. I'm going to combine two questions. There's some questions coming around Iron Bank. So it's like somebody from Curve. We've got somebody from Curve, Steve from Curve. Can you explain the Iron Bank concept? And I'll combine that with these two other questions, which is, what are the risks of being a supplier of Iron Bank?
Right. And so the Iron Bank is, first of all, it's a separate liquidity pool. This is one of the biggest things that people got wrong during the Alpha Homora exploit. to withdraw money from app.cream.finance and the Cream V1, either on Ethereum or on BSC, would be the same as saying, Compound got exploited, therefore I take my money out of Cream. It's like, okay, the code is the same, but the liquidity base are not connected at all. So first and foremost, I want to make that clarification. Secondly, the Iron Bank runs off of the same kind of code base as the Compound piece that we initially forked, and that the added difference that doesn't exist on Compound right now is the ability for protocols to get a credit limit. So I alluded earlier that we're serving as the liquidity backbone to DeFi ecosystem right now. Yearn vaults are borrowing currently from the Iron Bank, and Alpha Homora, stopped their credit limit, but they'll be back soon once they get their audits done. But basically, the way it works is that protocols can borrow without actual liquidity on our platform. But when you think about it, it kind of makes sense, right? Like, if you have smart contracts, don't care. If I give the example of a flash loan, if you get a flash loan to liquidate a under collateralized position on any platform, you're borrowing money from Aave, you're borrowing money from Uniswap, you're borrowing money from somewhere, and then you may exchange it on an exchange like Uniswap or SushiSwap. You may pay back the debt. You may take the collateral back that you've collected from the liquidation process, and then change that back to the originally borrowed item, and then pay it back. When all that happens, the smart contract just execute. It doesn't care that you've involved like so many different protocols. It just works because it's on the same block, right? So on the flash loan. So by that same logic, wouldn't it be cool if you got money down in protocol A and you can borrow from protocol B? Why does it have to be that now you have to withdraw from A and then put it in B? It's inefficient. It's a capital inefficiency. So by consolidating your liquidity on the Iron Bank and then allowing credible, audited, safe protocols to partner with, and unfortunate incidents happen in that they cover these losses, then I think we're good. I think from that standpoint, the risk as a supplier from the Iron Bank, as we've seen from this recent exploit, is that there are no loss suffered. You can still, if you supply to the Iron Bank, you can still withdraw today, perfectly fine. There's really no risk associated today, as long as any debts that's incurred and any exploits that happen are paid back. Now, we are exploring other ways of thinking, like, what if we could then roll in with cover some level of prediction market-based type of insurance, or whether there's some kind of collateralized debt obligations that can roll in, and that cost can be added in as part of the supply. So at that point, even if there were to be an exploit or that money weren't paid back on, you as a supplier can still be covered.
Okay, fantastic. That's great information. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Leo, thank you so much. It was a great conversation with you. You gave us so much information. Thank you for your explanation. And I really wish you guys a fantastic future. I really love what you guys are doing. And I love the name, obviously. I will be playing a lot of Wu-Tang later tonight just because of this session. So yeah, thank you so much. Now we're going to get up next. Will be Mike, who will be back to talk to, and we've got Phantom coming up on stage. So okay, thank you, Leo. We'll talk to you, and we'll be in touch with you. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, guys.